Jurrangelo Cijntje is one of the most interesting baseball prospects ever because he's doing something at a level that we've never seen before. While switch hitting is a fairly common occurrence on a baseball field, even though it's down from its peak years, switch pitching is not something you see every day, with only one switch pitcher really coming to mind, and that being Pat Venditti. Well, pitching involves just so many more isolated movements and precise actions than hitting does. It's not a knock against hitting, but pitching just generally is a more complicated thing to be really good at. To learn how to throw from both arms depends on an incredible amount of training and fine-tuning skills that just isn't a realistic task for any baseball player. This video isn't just about the difficulty of switch pitching, though. It's about the realistic future for the most highly touted switch pitcher we've ever seen, in Cijntje. Pat Venditti did put switch pitching on the map back in 2015 when he debuted in the MLB, but his career only lasted about 5 years, resulting in a 4.7 ERA and playing for a bunch of different teams. The only other true switch pitcher in baseball history was Tony Mullane, but he pitched well over 100 years ago, and we have no way of really knowing what he was doing back then. The difference between Cijntje and these other guys is simply pure talent. Neither of them were highly touted prospects or anything like that. Jurrangelo is a highly successful college player who's drafted out of high school, and he's now a top 100 prospect in baseball with a real chance of starting as a switch pitcher. Let's get into the numbers and show you what is so good about Cijntje. First off, looking at the tool grades here. Alright, so this is the only time I've ever had to do something like this, but he has two separate tool sets, one for his right hand and one for his left hand, which is honestly the coolest thing ever. So as a right-handed pitcher, I would put his OFP at a 55, which is a very cromulent Major League Baseball player and a starting pitcher. His fastball, I have it at 60. It ranges from 96 to 98 miles per hour and tops out at 99 miles per hour. And then he throws two different off-speed pitches, right? So he's got this cutter and this sweeper. They could be put under a slider bucket, and he just throws a tighter and a looser version of a slider. However, I would bucket them more like gyro, big cutter, and then larger sweeper slurve shape. Both of them are pretty good. He throws the cutter more, but they both have really good shape. They come in at a 55. The changeup is a 50. He doesn't throw it a whole lot. The command isn't fully there, and it doesn't have a whole lot of vertical movement or separation from the fastball other than velocity. And his command's about a 50. That might be a generous grade, but I do think he's going to grow into some better command as he ages. He is still young. From the left side, he's at a 40 OFP, which would put him in the reliever bucket as far as pitching goes, from the left side at least. His fastball's a 50 and his sweeper's a 50. He only has two pitches from that side. The fastball has well below average velocity, and the sweeper's a very good pitch, but because he really plays angles to become a left-on-left specialist. The command is a 45 from the left side as well, slight tick down from the right side. Jurrangelo's arsenal is about 90% fastball cutter as a right-handed pitcher, with his fastball being a super electric offering, sitting in the upper 90s deep into outings. It has an above-average whiff and chase rate, with his combined statistics being a 28% whiff rate on his slider from both sides of the plate, with that number probably being even higher from the right side because that pitch is slightly better than the one he throws from the left side. It also looks like Cijntje has above-average extension from a 5'11", 200-pound frame, which gives him this plus VAA vertical approach angle on the heater combined with great velocity, so the fastball definitely plays up from its baseline metrics, even though it's very hard. For example, Brian Wu has a 30% fastball whiff rate in the MLB, which is one of the better fastballs in baseball. Cijntje's fastball isn't quite as good as Wu's as far as shape. However, some of the characteristics do overlap. His hard slider or cutter now has a 38% whiff rate and a 28% chase rate. Super great numbers for a pitcher. The pitch is right in line with other elite offerings across baseball and gives Cijntje this really good 1-2 punch from the right side. His changeup's still a work in progress. He throws it very rarely, but it has pretty good returns as far as statistics and an opponent's slug against it. His feel is just still developing. If he can further develop this pitch, it really locks him in as a high-quality starter long-term. Things just aren't quite as good from the left side, as you can see by the velocities earlier. Cijntje sits low 90s with his fastball. I saw an 89 when I watched him live about a week ago, and he only has the sweeper as a secondary. Both pitches perform pretty well in a vacuum, but there's a large drop-off when he moves to the left side as far as total movement, velocity, everything like that. He does throw from this much lower slot from the left side, however, which does add some deception to delivery and helps him play with angles as far as approaching left-handed hitters. This year we've seen the Mariners toy with multiple different ways to deploy Cijntje as a lefty. At times during the year, he would have a second relief outing every week, only as a left-handed pitcher. Lately, however, Jurrangelo has been throwing once per week as a starter and has been prioritizing throwing left-handed in only advantageous matchups. When I saw Jurrangelo, despite 3 lefties being in the opposing lineup, he only threw left-handed once his first time through the order. He threw lefty versus a guy named Charlie Zacconi, a hitter I've seen struggle multiple times in person with lefty-lefty spin. His second time through the order, he switched hands versus all lefties in the lineup, throwing left-handed to the other 2 left-handed hitters in the lineup and throwing right-handed to Zacconi. When Zacconi came to the plate his third time, Jurrangelo had just walked a guy left-handed, so he stayed as a right-handed hitter, hung a slider, and Charlie Zacconi took it deep and ended Jurrangelo's outing. But regardless of that, the Mariners are still kind of figuring out the best way to develop Cijntje's handedness. It appears that they want to play matchups with Jurrangelo as a starting pitcher, which I think is really good, rather than using him multiple times a week or in relief roles. The Mariners clearly don't want hitters to see Cijntje from the left side too often, opting to mix in a right-handed AB after a left-handed one. As a 2-pitch guy without much velo, Cijntje is being treated as a reliever from the left side, only facing batters pretty much once per game from that side. Cijntje has been developing well in his first year in professional baseball. The stats don't totally paint the full picture here. He was a draft-eligible sophomore, so he's extra young heading into this year. He's adding velocity in his fastball late into outings, and he's sharpening up his arsenal. The command has taken a bit of a tick down from where it was his sophomore year of college, and it lags behind the rest of the profile, and Cijntje is prone to hanging breaking balls that get hit for home runs. He does get hit hard when things are in the middle of the plate. The good thing about these problems is they're super fixable with reps, and Cijntje is an elite level talent, and the command will get better. The hanging breaking balls won't be a thing forever. He just got promoted to Double-A, where he's probably going to spend quite a bit of time. The Mariners really like to keep their pitchers in Double-A and not expose them to the PCL hitters and the absolute bandboxes that Triple-A is nowadays. So I would expect Jurrangelo to spend most of next year in Double-A, maybe get a cup of coffee in Triple-A, and then look towards a 2027 MLB debut. Okay, so let's get into the mechanics here. So obviously we've got 2 hands to work with, so this is going to be a little bit different than normal pitching breakdowns. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the mechanics, what I'm seeing, and why is he so much better from the right side than the left side. So first I'm just going to let you guys watch this, okay? 8 seconds. I synced him up, peak leg lift, and go. Okay, now let's break this down kind of frame by frame, okay? So first thing you notice, all right, leg lifts are pretty similar, right? He's maybe a little bit more closed from the left side, but it's hard to tell because of camera angles here. The leg lift is very, very similar, but then we get into the load and things start changing, right? He's got a good forward drift. You can see him drift forward there. And now let's get into peak leg lift. So let's go to extension right there. Okay, so we see extension on both sides with the lead leg. He's staying closed off pretty well. First major difference is on his right side, he really uses his front side, right? Like this glove is out in front. You see some guys with a higher glove. This is an ideal position over here. Look at his front side over here. He's not doing anything with that lead arm. And that's okay. Some guys can get away with that. In this case, though, I do think that this is part of the problem. Also, let's check angles here, right? The angle in which he gets into his back leg. So I would say that he's much deeper on the right side than he is on the left side. If we were to compare these 2 angles right here, I would say that on the right side, he uses his back leg much better, gets into a nice squat position, hinges, some would say. And now we're getting here, landing. Okay, boom. Immediately, something is super clear to me with Cijntje when he lands. He gets his hips through way better on the right side, leading to a lot more hip-shoulder separation, which is going to increase that potential velocity output. On this side, on his left side, those hips aren't all the way through, right? Those hips are still pretty closed off. Part of it is he strides kind of closed, but he also strides a little bit closed on this side. I would argue in some looks that I've seen, he's maybe a little more open on his right side consistently, but his hips clearly want to rotate to the left, not to the right. That's just his natural ability. So immediately we see something left on the counter here as far as the hips go. And the reason that another thing that shows this is look at the feet, right? Look at the feet right there. 2 different looks, 2 totally different looks, and it'll be even more clear here in a second. He gets his arm up well though on both sides. He does still get good scalp retraction and such from the left side, and he gets a bunch of layback, but that's not all that matters here. Okay, I would say he gets stuck behind his hips more on his left side. This foot doesn't want to come off the ground as easy. He's just not generating as much ground force on the left side. Okay, bear with me. I did not sync these videos up as well as I thought I did. So like when we look at release, let's look at the right side first, okay? So there's his release angle right there, right? Pretty natural slot. I would say the arm angle is right around average. Now let's look from the left side, okay? So left side of the screen, ooh, that's a lot lower, right? So you measure the point of ball release to the shoulder would be your arm angle measurement. So a lot lower from the left side, probably like 10 degrees lower. It's very significant. Now, why do you think Cijntje does that? I have my own thoughts. I think he wants to develop better horizontal approach angles and better vertical approach angles from the left side to make his two pitches play up despite their kind of middling stuff, right? So if he's releasing further out to the side of his body here, he's throwing that pitch behind lefties because he's throwing left-handed to left-handed hitters. Right, in this video, I believe it was Travis Bazzana swinging. So he's throwing this pitch from behind their head or behind their back, right? Especially on something like a sweeper. That is a super uncomfortable at bat for lefties when pitches are starting behind you, and it helps neutralize platoon advantages. Some lefties are really good at hitting left on left spin. When it starts behind you, there's less guys that are really good at hitting those big sweepers that start behind you, right? That is just the nature of same-handed pitching. That's why sweepers came into fashion in the first place, because they're such an uncomfortable feeling if they're thrown in the zone. With Cijntje, he's thrown from such a lower slot, he can start this behind a guy and still get it on the outside of the plate. Just something to think about. Horizontal approach angles are not the only thing that matters. Vertical approach angle as well. If he's throwing fastballs up in the zone, right, from this lower slot, it's going to have a little bit more ride, even if it's a dead zone pitch, which it kind of is. It's going to play up from there. So just a couple things that I saw as far as the mechanics go. Sorry, one more thing. Look at the kind of weight shift here. I would say that if you look at a side view profile, which I probably should include it in this, I would say Cijntje holds his weight back a lot better on the right side, which goes with everything else we've been talking about. He kind of drifts forward a little bit with the torso early from the left side, which does prevent him from fully utilizing the ground, and does the drift forward can work for some guys. I wouldn't say that it is helping Jurrangelo in this case, because we know when he keeps his weight back better, keeps his torso more behind his body, he can throw 99 miles per hour. Okay, what are the next steps now, right? We've kind of given you all the background information, gone over all his pitches, his mechanics. Let's kind of wrap this thing up with a nice little bow here. I do believe that there are clear steps moving forward that Jurrangelo and the Mariners can deploy to maximize his value, which I'm sure the Mariners are already doing because they're smarter than me. First off, I think switch pitching is still a thing that Jurrangelo should do. I have heard floated around that people are like, he's just so good from the right side, just let him pitch from there. I don't think so. I think this is too cool to pass up on, and you're getting such an advantage if you harness this in the right way. Jurrangelo struggles a bit right on left as is, so if he gave up left-handed pitching, I bet he would really struggle against lefties because he doesn't have that changeup right now. I'm also curious if there have been thoughts about Cijntje adding another pitch from the left side. It feels like he doesn't want to, because from his arm angle, it's kind of hard to get to some other pitches from there, especially with the lower velocity. Maybe a sinker would be cool, but that's something I'd rather see on the right side at this point. And I think he would have already added a third pitch, because that's kind of the lowest hanging fruit at a pitch. And the Mariners are comfortable with him just throwing two from the left side. So I'm going to say that that's not on the table right now. As previously discussed, Cijntje's pitch mix from the right side is heavily reliant on his fastball and cutter, while he mixes in the sweeper and the changeup occasionally. To give Cijntje more options against righties, I would consider adding a sinker into the mix. He already has the cutter, so let's form a fastball trifecta with three easy-to-control pitches that are going to get enough movement to kind of carry the load for Cijntje. The big thing I'm seeing, though, is that Cijntje needs to add another pitch to throw against lefties when he's pitching right-handed, because he only throws fastballs and cutters with the occasional changeup right now. I think the obvious answer is to just further develop that changeup and try and get some more vertical break on it. Right now it's a really tight pitch that has a good velocity separation, which can get it some whiffs in the zone. It's not a huge chase pitch, right? Because we kind of need that vertical separation from the fastball to get more chase. So looking, maybe there's a kick change in there, maybe there's a splitter, maybe there's just a different cue, or maybe he's going to have to seam shift a changeup. Something has to change to get a little more vertical break to get a big league changeup out of Cijntje. And there's also just this clear physiological difference in Jurrangelo from the left side, right? The hips do not rotate as well. I think that is the big thing. His ankle mobility might be a little bit less. some of that hinge strength in his back leg. It just looks lesser from the left side. Less smooth would be a good way to put it. It's not that the mechanics need adjusting. It's just a couple of pinpoint targets in like the body, right? So let's like try and loosen up those hips, which is just so much easier said than done because I know that the Mariners would have him on those kind of protocols. But right now it just feels like the right side is more physically advanced than the left side is. Well, my recommendation for his future deployment isn't worth anything. I think the Mariners are spot on right now with kind of how they're using Jurrangelo and his handedness. He should only throw left-handed in certain matchups when it makes a lot of sense. I would likely have him throw left-handed to every lefty batter at least once per game, throwing to the worst left-on-left hitters from the left side the first time through the order, and the second time through the order, I would reverse it. So the guys who saw him righty last time, who are left-handed hitters, now get to see him lefty. The reason I would want to focus on the first time through the order throwing to the advantageous matchups is so if Jurrangelo does get to the order a third time, he can then lean on that lefty-lefty again, whereas some of these lefties who can hit spin a little bit better, we don't want them to see Cijntje's two-pitch mix more than once. And this kind of comes back to the topic of pitch decay that I talked about in my future of pitching video, which you can find on this channel as well. But the switching sides doesn't just help pitch decay, it's also just simply a pitch count saver. If an MLB team has 3.5 lefties in their lineup on average, and Jurrangelo goes through the order 3 times in his best starts, he could be saving like 25, 30 pitches toward his overall pitch count every game. There's a realistic outcome in meaningful starts where Cijntje throws 130, maybe even 140 pitches in a game because he can throw with both arms, resulting in 1 or 2 extra innings of work on his best days. Regardless, if Cijntje can be efficient and continue to develop his command, he's nearly a sure thing to pitch into the 6th inning of his starts, saving a team's bullpen once every 5 days by quite a bit. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. I mean, Cijntje's simply a cheat code right now. He can go deeper into games than everyone. He throws from both hands. It's not something we're used to seeing, so it's hard to even talk about it because we don't have anything to go off of here. But after watching him pitch this year in person and really trying to get a vibe of what he's trying to do, I think that there is a great starter in Cijntje. Something like a number 3 or a number 2 on a pretty good Mariners team, if not a really good trade asset. I'm really excited to see kind of how the Mariners choose to develop him as far as his approach to making the big leagues. If he's going to stick as a starter, if they're going to start using him in more relief appearances, what they're going to do with the lefty. There's so many questions that are yet to be answered. We really have no way of knowing, but it's such a fascinating topic. So, yeah, please subscribe, like this video. Go check out the article on prospectslive.com. You can get a membership over there for as little as $5 a month, and I will see you next time.